Yo guys, it's Kyle coming at you from Bane's Film Reviews. I just saw Wicked, directed by John M. Chu, starring Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. For those of you that know me, you know I have issues with musicals. I won't really get into that because if, again, you know me, you understand why. Now, I do want to get into some other issues that I had with this film before I even sat down to watch it. I had two big issues. One that I've had issues with for years. I hate the idea of Wicked. I think that it's sort of a waste of time, obviously derivative of content that already exists in The Wizard of Oz. And it's always promoted as Before Dorothy. There is no Before Dorothy. This is a dream. In The Wizard of Oz, all that happens short of them being on the farm is in Dorothy's head after being bashed over the head during a tornado. There is no backstory to this. There's no reason for this, and the fact that it exists frustrates me beyond how I can't even put it into words how I feel about it really. And then my other issue going into this, again, prior to and really not connected to the film directly, is Cynthia Erivo. She seems like a really dreadful, insufferable individual, and while that really shouldn't dictate how someone feels about the film that this person's in, it's really hard to sometimes separate the art from the artist. And I felt that I was able to do that in this film, but it's aggravating to step into a film already with a negative opinion of one of the actors. Now, with that being said, I'm going to get through all the bad stuff because there is, believe it or not, things that I genuinely appreciated and enjoyed within this film. So, the things that I didn't like. I think Ariana Grande is an incredibly overrated vocalist, and I don't understand why people appreciate her as a vocalist, why they gravitate toward her music, and really why she's been as successful as she has. She has a lot of trouble enunciating, a lot of issues with how she pronounces words, and really saying them in a way that is, that viewers are able to understand what she's saying. Particularly in her first song. I don't know what the hell the names of these frickin' songs are. I'm not going to try to remember what any of the names of the songs are other than Popular or Defying Gravity. But in the early going in particular, Ariana Grande has a ton of issues enunciating. I don't have any freaking idea what she said through the majority of her singing. She's fine in enunciating during dialogue and in conversation with others, but when it comes down to her singing voice, it's very difficult to understand what she's saying. It steals from the songs that are already difficult to appreciate, and I really, really struggle with this aspect of the film. Beyond that, I don't know if I've ever been able to articulate why I have so many issues with Broadway-esque songs. I don't like going to Broadway. I don't appreciate the music. I don't think that it's at all enjoyable. And I do, to a degree, question why anyone likes this. While I understand that art is subjective, I struggle to wrap my head around or grasp the fact that people genuinely enjoy Broadway music. With that said, this is the first time that I think I've ever been able to understand in my own head and then be able to articulate it. I found that I don't like the cadence of most Broadway-esque songs. I feel like they're very conversational, and I feel like that steals from what music is meant to do. I always believe and subscribe to the idea that music is meant to extend beyond what simple dialogue and conversation and talking is capable of expressing. And to some degree, I understand why people might appreciate that aspect of it, but again, I think it sort of dilutes the reason behind making music. It's, again, an extension of ourselves that just simple dialogue isn't capable of expressing, and it frustrates me the way that Broadway music is delivered. So, that's really all the negative that I have. But I did promise a friend of mine that I don't want to call out because I don't want to put him on blast. He said it was okay, but I'm not going to do it to him. He basically said before I even sat down to watch this film, he said, fuck Wicked. And while I shared in that sentiment, there are again aspects of this film that I did very much appreciate. It was one of the things is something I expected. I fully anticipated going in. I thought that this would be, the highlight of the film for me. And that's the world building. If you go back to the 1930s, what they created in The Wizard of Oz is simply spectacular. The world building ability of that team nearly 100 years ago, which is insane to think about, is impeccable and far beyond what I think a lot or most films were capable of accomplishing in that regard. This ups the ante even further. They obviously have access to things far beyond what they had access to in the 1930s, and they use it to their advantage. I am going to baffle some people with my next comment. This is as good as I wished Dune was in regard to the world building. Dune was a huge letdown. This even surpassed my expectations, with this being the one thing that I anticipated I would genuinely appreciate. Beyond that, Cynthia Erivo, regardless of what she is as a person, is a freaking stellar vocalist. I cannot stand Idina Menzel, and I struggled greatly to appreciate even songs like Defying Gravity when I saw the Broadway play maybe 10 years ago now. Cynthia Erivo now has Defying Gravity stuck in my head, and it is almost entirely due to her performance and what she's capable of achieving. I don't hate this movie as much as I thought that I would. While there are things that I certainly disliked, and I struggled to really appreciate any of the characters, I connected with none of them. The world-building ability and Cynthia Erivo effectively saved this film from being an absolute shit show and a complete disaster. So, I'm going to give Wicked a significantly higher rating than I anticipated that I would, and I'm going to give it a 6. Now, that doesn't seem very high, but I would encourage you to go watch this film because it does have some really redeeming qualities and things that, again, some things I anticipated but still surpass my expectations, and other things that are just really spectacular, and that thing being Cynthia Erivo's voice. It is Thanksgiving week, so until next time, happy Thanksgiving and peace.